Hello everybody! Today we're going to talk mixing. We're going to talk my favorite sounding albums. Woo! Sounds! Got my mixing shirt on today, so we're good to go. Alright, first let's start with my favorite sounding albums. They're behind me. Some of them are my favorite sounding because of the mix. Some are because of the vinyl. Let's go through them real quick here. Alright, first over there, Devil and God Rage Inside Me, brand new. That album sounds great, just a digital copy of that, or the CD. Sounds even better on vinyl. It's an amazing sounding album. It's really well mixed. It's one of my best sounding vinyls it's been for years. Middle, we'll get to later. Above me here, Lorde, Melodrama. That's mixed by Jack Antonoff, who's also Bleachers. He mixed the Bleachers stuff. He also worked with St. Vincent doing Mass Education. Jack Antonoff is one of the best mixers going today. That album there sounds amazing. There are hooks under the hooks you can barely hear all through that album. That album is incredibly well produced and mixed. Over here, Radiohead OK Computer. I mean, you just put on like every 3 or 4 months with late at night, way too loud, the nice drink, and you're just reminding what a masterpiece sounds like. I mean, it's OK Computer. The vinyl sounds even better than digital copy. Green Day, American Idiot. This is where Chris Flores, he was a famous mixer, got his name really. He did stuff before this, but this is where he really broke out. This has also kind of ruined a lot of current music for me. The reason is this album is mixed incredibly well for the music. The vocals are really loud, a little bit dry, really loud kick and snare. Sounds great on American Idiot. Of course, everybody heard this and they thought, hey, we'll do that too. So now if you listen to the radio today, it's a lot of kind of dry vocals, a lot of kick and snare. Does not work for a lot of songs on the radio for me. I don't think that's a great way to mix many albums. It's personally not a preference I like for our stuff. But an American Idiot, it sounds fantastic. That's what it's made for. Next, Fiona Apple, Tidal. My favorite Fiona Apple album, and one of my favorite albums of all time, top 5 easily, is her second album, which is called Win the Pawn, which Vinyl Me Please, a vinyl subscription service, actually recently put out last year. I own it. It sounds phenomenal. It was my holy grail album for a long time. I never thought I'd get it. They never made a vinyl for it. They finally did last year. I play it all the time. It sounds great. I love it. Very happy. First album is also very good. Vinyl Me Please spent 2 years remixing from the master tapes on those and remastering the album. They first mastered it at 33 RPM, found they didn't quite like it, so they mastered it again at 45 RPM. You can hear what Fiona Apple's thinking when she's singing those songs. That's how good that album sounds. Win the Pawn is my favorite album first, by a good deal. This one sounds better. It sounds amazing. Next, 21 Pilots, Blurryface. I really like the album Blurryface. I wish I wrote the song Tear My Heart. It's a fantastic song. If you want to know my thoughts on the music industry, listen to Lame Boy. That pretty much sums it up. It's a great album. So when I was out at a record store one day, I saw that. I picked it up. It was like $20. It was actually pretty inexpensive. It had a cool cover. You can move around. Thought, sweet. I put it on. It sounded amazing. I put the CD on too, my same system, which my system's really set up for this type of music. It's got like the 8-inch downfiring woofers and like the quick bass on this really sounds great on it. But I put the CD on, then I put the vinyl on. The vinyl sounds better. This vinyl sounds amazing. If you ever thought about getting this on vinyl, get it. Over here, Counting Crows. It's a live album. It's kind of cheating, but it was mixed by Bob Clearmountain, who's like one of the greatest mixers ever. So I consider it a mixed album. It sounds like you're at the venue listening to Counting Crows do August and Everything After Live. That's how good that sounds. I didn't get it for a long time because I had it on Blu-ray. I'm like, I don't need the vinyl. But finally it came up. I found the vinyl for a decent price. I'm like, I'll pick it up. I listened to it. The vinyl sounds incredible. Behind me, it's Kind of Blue. I mean, if you don't know what Kind of Blue is, you probably shouldn't listen to music. There's books written on which is the best mix of Kind of Blue. This is one of the newer stereo mixes. I didn't get the mono mix. I thought about it, but I went with one of the newer stereo mixes. I mean, it sounds like you're in the room with the guys playing. It sounds incredible. And it's Kind of Blue. I mean, you just put it on and you just get lost. And if you don't like jazz, that's fine. If you do like jazz, that's even better. I mean, I like jazz. And Kind of Blue's incredible. I have a couple of great jazz albums over there. But, I mean, this is one of the greatest albums ever made. It sounds great. Last, Dave Matthews Band Crash. I'm not a huge Dave Matthews fan. I like a couple songs. I like their first album better, actually, which is Under the Table of Dreaming, which they did a complete remaster of the vinyl for. And I've heard it doesn't sound great, so I didn't pick it up. Crash has a couple songs everybody knows, and they're great songs. The rest of the songs, I could take them or leave them. They're fine. But when they did the vinyl remaster of the album, they spent a bunch of time getting the tolerances just right. You put this album on here, right there. Put this album on. It sounds like the drummer Carter is playing in your living room. That's how great this sounds. I'll put this album on just to listen to the sounds on it. You know, even though I don't like the songs. I like a lot of songs. But if I don't like the songs, just listen to it like, listen to that ride cymbal. That ride cymbal sounds amazing. It's the best sounding ride cymbal I've ever heard in my life. So, if you ever thought about getting Crash on vinyl, the remaster sounds incredible. Get it. Outside of that, of course, I have a whole bunch more records that sound incredible. I've said this before. Just because it's on vinyl does not mean it sounds better. I have a lot of records that sound worse than the CDs. I have a lot of records that sound pretty much like the CDs. Thing is, with vinyl, sometimes you can master them a little bit heavier than you can master CDs. You'll get a little bit of those harmonic overtones on them. And if you push it just right, it can sound amazing compared to the CD version. All these sound better than the CD version. Some of these sound like the Fiona Apple album. You put the CD on, you put that album on, it's almost like listening to a different album. This sounds incredible. The CD sounds great. It's great out. It's a great CD. Mixed really well. Doesn't sound like this. So, I mean, that's the whole thing with collecting vinyl. You try to find those diamonds in the rough, the ones that really pop out, and the ones that they really spend the time mastering to get just a little bit more. You know, if you're listening to it on your phone, these all would sound just like the CDs. But if you listen to it on a nice system, you know, you put the CD in, you put the really nice mastered vinyl in, you can tell the difference. Drink of water time. Look at my cup. It's like hot, cold, hot, it's fire. Yep. I made that joke because I'm a dad. All right. And cold because it's all blue. And Spaceman. Spaceman's sounding amazing, by the way. Wait till it's mixed. I mean, that's definitely going to be a single because it's just cool. Last time I didn't have water, my mouth got really dry. Like last 2 minutes of the video, I could barely get words out. You can definitely tell. Don't watch that video. It's the last 2 minutes are really bad. Last one. I forget what it's for. But I could barely talk the last 2 minutes. I could just like gone upstairs and got a drink of water. But everything was all set up and running. My computer had crashed 3 times. I'm like, oh, let's just keep going. Let's talk mixing and mastering. When I first started this whole thing back in October, I reached out to a whole bunch of people for mixing and mastering because I was budgeting at the time. I kind of wanted to know what the budget was going to be for mixing and mastering because this all has to fit somewhat in a budget. I mean, the budget's gone at this point, but it's still within the realm of the budget. I will say, you know, I always knew it would cost more and take a lot more time than I thought it would to make this album. It's costing a little bit more. It's not a lot. It's taking a lot more time. Like every time I put my daughter to bed at like, 10 o'clock at night, she finally falls asleep. This is what I do every night. I make videos, or I do music stuff, or I record guitars, or I bounce tracks, or I make websites, or I miss watching TV. Evidently, there's great TV shows out there. I haven't seen them. I haven't seen movies. I like movies. I like reading books too. I started reading a Stephen King book, the new one, the new Later book. I'm like 10 pages in, so I'm barely into it, but seems good so far. Right, back on topic. All right, so I reached out to a whole bunch of mixers, and they're all legit mixers. I reached out to a couple guys who are like on Fiverr for like, $50 just to see. And I immediately tossed them out and I listened to like their mixes because they were terrible. But, I reached out to a bunch of like legit mixers, like who do this for a living. And immediately I got rid of half of them because it took 2 weeks for them to respond to like a 30-second email. And I understand that they're busy and they're mixing. They have so much time for emails. So if it takes a day or two, I completely understand. 3 days, okay. 2 weeks later, hey, I see you're interested in my mixing services. No, not anymore. 2 weeks is too long. If it's taking you two weeks, that means you have so much business, you have no problem. I do follow some of these mixers on Instagram and different places, and I see them complain they don't have work, and then it takes 2 weeks to get back to you. That's why I don't have work. I reached out to a YouTube mixer who's somewhat known, and was very interested in mixing the album. Told me they'd call me tomorrow. Still waiting for that phone call. Never came. So then after I, got rid of the people who never got back to me, I was down to, still 5 or 6 people who mixed. All legit, all had websites. If you're a mixer, have a website. Most of them had samples of like, rock songs, because, we're a rock band. There was one that didn't, but they said they mixed rock, so I asked and reached out. I'm like, hey, can you send me a mix of something you do with rock? They're like, sure. They sent me a hip-hop track with everything was quantized with one live guitar solo. That's not mixing rock. So they were gone. A couple other people I reached out to, got a real quick response. Didn't hear anything from them, but I thought, I'll keep them around. There was one mixer who got back to me like once a month. It probably took them 30 seconds of their time. They're like, hey, just wondering how things are going, see how things are going. Let me know if you have any questions. Reached out, had a couple questions here and there. And, they always got back to me, day or two, whatever, answers to my questions. Nothing in depth, but, hey, if I'm placing mics on a drum set, I have this many mics, where should they go as a mixer? He's like, oh, this is what I would prefer. I'm like, great, that's what I'll do. And that's the mixer who ended up giving the album. So the album is currently being mixed by Chris Flores. I think that's how I say his name. That's Sonar House Studios. Hi, Chris. So we sent Chris the first song, which is Something to Lose, which is going to be the first single, be the second single now. He went through, he mixed it, came back to us probably, 8 to 10 days later because it took a long time for the first song. And he even said the first song there could be the most changes on, so this is just a place to start. He sent the song back, put it on my car, cranked it up, went to rock out to it, and I got sad because it was all mixed just like Green Day's American Idiot. It was everything on the radio today, which I guess is what you should do first. It was all snare and it was all vocals, fairly dry vocals. I'm like, where's the rock band? There's guitars somewhere. I played a lot of guitars in the song. I know they're there somewhere. So I sent a lot of notes. And I thought to myself, I always told myself for years if I ever made an album, I was going to use Beautiful Midnight by Matthew Goodband as reference because I love the way the album sounds. I've always have. It's the first time I heard it, I'm like, that's what a rock album's supposed to sound like. But going through it, I talked to the other guys in the band. I'm like, hey, it's kind of a Foo Fighters vibe too for some of our stuff. And they're like, yeah, Foo Fighters. I'm like, so should I use Foo Fighters or Beautiful Midnight? They're like, what's that? Foo Fighters. So I'm like, all right. So I sent Foo Fighters as a reference when I first sent Something to Lose, which is probably a mistake in hindsight. So I listened to the song. I'm like, all right, the sounds are good. What I hear, all it is vocals and drums. He'll probably say it's not vocals and drums, but it was all vocals and drums, which is everything on the radio again, which you probably should do for a first mix. You should mix it to what's out there right now. So I'm like, all right, send him a whole lot of notes, told him some stories. He's probably sick of my stories because whenever I send a note, I usually tell a story too. I guess that's good. I don't know. I like to tell stories. So I do it for a living. I tell stories at work. I sent him this album. I actually sent him the song Deep Six, which actually isn't on this album, but it was on their American release. There's a whole thing about that. Ask if you have questions. So I sent him the song Deep Six from Beautiful Midnight, and I said something closer to this. The second mix he sent, I will say was a complete 180 of the first mix. It sounded like a rock band. We were like, yes, finally. There's a couple notes. We have 3 mixes for him, so put the other notes in. Third mix came back. Third mix was perfect. Got it mastered. First master, perfect. So we sent him the second song, which is Fire. And first mix for Fire comes back, and it's a lot closer than the first mix of Something to Lose. As Dick Darling said, he said, listen to the first mix for Fire. He's like, well, we got some work to do. He listened to the first mix for Something to Lose, and he went, uh-oh, this is bad. So Fire came much closer. We gave him some notes. Second mix came back, perfect. Only used 2 mixes on that one. Really recently, sent a song Tonight, which is the title track off the album. Came back. There were some very small, minor details that had to be fixed. Mix came back. Second mix, used it. It's great. We're going to master the rest of the album at the end at this point because mastering it all at once sounds like the better idea. He suggested that. I agree. We mastered the first 2 because they were the first 2 singles to be released. I just got back the 4th song, which is a song called Innocent Man, which is very close. There's a couple mixed notes out to put through, but I'm confident 2 mixes will do this one as well. I do feel our stuff's a little bit harder to mix. Not just like the mixing the song is harder, but because you can't just mix one song and go. Because outside maybe like 2 or 3 songs, none of our songs really sound the same. Look over here. Let's see. We have a theatrical song. We have just a straight up rock song. We have a piano song, piano ballad with vocals and strings. We got 2 songs which kind of sound the same, which are like Foo Fighters, which is Fire's one of them, the first single. We got a soul-like song, which is She Just Did. We got an Americana song, which is very Americana. Sounds like nothing else in the album. I don't know how it's going to fit. I'm sure it will. We got 2 90s alternative type songs. Different type of a 90s alternative type songs. We got a Pink Floyd song. Sounds like modern Pink Floyd, I'd say. We got a Bob Seger song. And we got the most recent song we cut vocals for, which is a song called Trouble, which I don't know what it sounds like. Sounds like a Pure Nonsense song. It's also my favorite song on the album. It might be a single. It's not a single now because I don't think it's maybe the catchiest song on the album. Maybe not the best. That's my favorite. So far, we're happy. Album will be done at some point this summer. It'll be great. We'll put it out. 5 people are going to listen to it. It's going to be fantastic. So that's it. I've already talked for a long time. I'm tired. Because again, I don't do this stuff until after my daughter goes to bed. And after you chase a 5-year-old all day long, you're tired. 10 o'clock at night. Right now it's 11:30. 11:30 at night. I have to work tomorrow.